Credit card rewards. 7 on your side's got your cashback crash course.
Best reward credit cards in this age of COVID.
So you save on everyday items. Monday morning at 6 a.m. on Eyewitness News this morning.
We have a follow-up now to a story we first brought you yesterday during the morning newscast. A 7-year-old boy continues to fight for his life this morning after he was hit by a fire truck on Staten Island. An FDNY fire crew was returning from a call when it happened around 7:30 in the Stapleton section. The child was alone at the time and was rushed to a nearby hospital and later transferred to the Cohen Children's Hospital for additional treatment. The NYPD and a FDNY fire safety team now investigating exactly what happened. It's still not clear why this 7-year-old was left unsupervised.
And Amanda Gorman, the nation's first youth poet laureate, says she was racially profiled as she walked home. She's the 22-year-old Harvard graduate who lives in Los Angeles. She catapulted to fame after reciting one of her poems at President Biden's inauguration. In an online post, she wrote, "A security guard tailed me on my walk home. He demanded to know if I lived there because, quote, you look suspicious. I showed my keys and buzzed myself into my building. He left. No apology." Gorman also wrote, "This is the reality of black girls. One day you're called an icon, the next day a threat." In a later tweet, she wrote, "In a sense, he was right. I am a threat to injustice, to inequality, to ignorance."
On day 2 of his historic visit to Iraq, Pope Francis met with a top Muslim cleric. After the meeting, the Pope and Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani delivered a message of peaceful coexistence. They urged Muslims to embrace Iraq's long persecuted Christian minority. The pontiff then traveled to the ruins of the ancient city of Ur, considered to be the traditional birthplace of the biblical patriarch Abraham, for an interfaith meeting. This is the first time ever a pope has visited Iraq. He will travel to 3 other cities later on today.
Well, a daredevil prompted a police warning down in Florida. This video footage shows a motorcyclist jumping over a drawbridge as it is opening. This took place down in Daytona Beach, which was hosting its annual bike week. Authorities said this was a very dangerous stunt to try to pull off, and they urged safety on the roads no matter where you live.
Yeah, not a good idea. Still to come here on Eyewitness News this Sunday morning as we approach 7 a.m. New accusers coming forward with allegations of sexual harassment against Governor Cuomo. Details still ahead. Also, a tragic story out of Harlem. A 10-year-old boy found dead in his home. The investigation into what happened and the community support today. Bundle up before you head outside. A bright day, but it's cold. Before we head into a warm-up this week, Amy Freeze with that AccuWeather forecast.
Now, New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News this morning.
Happening right now at 7 o'clock, controversy swirling for Governor Cuomo. 2 new accusers now coming forward with allegations of sexual harassment. The response from the governor this morning as calls are now growing for him to resign.
Plus, more help could soon be on the way for so many people struggling. After more than 25 hours, the Senate moves forward with that nearly $2 trillion COVID relief bill, the impact it could have for the MTA and restaurants in our area.
Let's take a peek outside on this Sunday, what we can expect. The clouds expected to move away, sun shining today, but it is still cold on this March 7th.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Toni Yates in for Michelle Charlesworth.
Always great to see you, Toni. I'm Mike Marza. Let's get right over to meteorologist Amy Freeze with a look at that forecast. It sounds like we're going to like the later part of this week.
Yeah, sunshine will dominate the afternoon forecast, and temperatures are getting warmer as we move on. But this morning it is still chilly. Feels like 20 degrees right now. Thermometer reading at 29 for Central Park. This is a live view over the park. Skies are going to give way completely to sunshine. Last, those clouds will fade out, and it feels like temperature that's in the upper teens and low 20s right now just improves as the winds start to disappear. We get very light winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour expected through the afternoon, and no major storms around here. We're at 5 days and counting of dry skies, and it looks like we can make it through much of the week without any storms around here. So expect the sunshine. Temperatures near 40 this afternoon, clear tonight, and not quite as cold overnight. Big improvement with temperatures by Tuesday. I'll show you those numbers coming up in the AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Mike?
Amy, thank you. We begin now with those new accusations against New York Governor Cuomo. And this morning we are learning about 2 of Cuomo's former aides that are now accusing him of sexual harassment.
These latest developments bring the accusations against Cuomo to 5 women, and there are also allegations this morning that he used abusive behavior towards male staffers.
Eyewitness News reporter Diana Rocco detailing it for us live on the east side this morning. Diana.
Mike, Toni, good morning. Things not looking good for the governor this morning. A total of 5 women and 2 men have now come forward accusing the governor of acting inappropriately. These latest allegations are 21 years old. Still, the governor seems to be denying any wrongdoing. The latest accuser and former aide Karen Hinton, who also served as Mayor de Blasio's press secretary, tells the Washington Post that back in 2000, when she was a press aide for the governor at HUD, he summoned her to a hotel room, pulled her towards him, and held her. Also, Anna Liss, another former aide from 2013 to 15, has come forward, telling the Wall Street Journal the governor touched her lower back, kissed her hand, and asked whether she had a boyfriend. Liss says she thought it was harmless at the time, but later found it inappropriate. This is in addition to 3 other women who have come forward. The Washington Post is also quoting 2 men, former aides, who accused Governor Cuomo of abusive behavior and foul language. The governor's office put out a statement which seems only to address Karen Hinton's allegations, saying, quote, "This did not happen. Karen Hinton is a known antagonist of the governor who is attempting to take advantage of this moment to score cheap points with made-up allegations from 21 years ago. All women have the right to come forward and tell their story. However, it's also the responsibility of the press to consider self-motivation. This is reckless." Now, this all comes as the state legislature voted on Friday to restrict some of the governor's executive powers amidst the nursing home scandal. There will be a protest here in Midtown outside the governor's office at 1:30 today, calling for his resignation, but right now it seems he has no plans to do so. We're live in Midtown this morning. I'm Diana Rocco, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Diana, thank you very much. And Albany's top newspaper is calling on Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign, saying he has lost credibility as a leader. The Albany Times Union editorial board published an op-ed slamming the governor for the latest revelations on nursing home deaths, the many allegations of sexual harassment, and what it says was manipulation of state ethics bodies. The paper previously endorsed Cuomo's 3 runs for governor. It also, though, called for the resignation of top aides, including State Health Commissioner Dr. Howard Zucker, Secretary to the Governor Melissa DeRosa, and SUNY Chancellor Jim Malatras.
Much needed relief will soon be headed to millions of Americans. The Senate approving that massive, nearly $2 trillion COVID-19 rescue plan, which includes payments of up to $1,400 for most Americans and extended emergency benefits. No Republicans supported the bill, which is now headed back to the House. Here's ABC's Tai Hernandez.
After a marathon session that went through the night into Saturday, the Senate passed the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package, bringing President Biden closer to a legislative win.
I promised the American people that help was on the way. We've taken one more giant step forward in delivering on that promise.
The final vote, 50 to 49. Falling along party lines, Republicans united against the plan.
The Senate has never spent $2 trillion in a more haphazard way or through a less rigorous process.
The bill includes billions of dollars in aid for states, schools, and small businesses, plus direct $1,400 payments to many Americans. The vote coming after the process was held up for nearly 12 hours as Democrats worked to get moderate West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin on board with a plan to extend expanded unemployment benefits through September 6th, but agreeing to keep them at $300 a week instead of $400. Some say that stimulus check will be a big help.
To some people, $1,400 is nothing to them, but to a family like mine right now that's struggling financially, it's everything.
Though others are concerned it's just not enough.
Do we get fuel this week and stay warm and not freeze to death? Or do you get food? We're supposed to be one of the best countries in the world, and we have sunk so far. It's difficult to be proud when there's people hurting, when there's people without.
The bill now heads back to the House for final approval before it lands on President Biden's desk for his signature.
Tai Hernandez, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And if President Biden signs the COVID relief package, some of that money will give a boost to industries in our area. A total of $28.6 billion has been earmarked to help struggling restaurants. There's also $5 million set aside in grants that individual restaurant owners can apply for. Billions more will help the transit system, also hit hard by the pandemic, try to get back on track.
Now that the trains and buses will continue to run with the federal aid that we have here in New York, there's really no excuse at all to cut service. And there's been some discussion that, we should cut back here, we should cut back there. But in fact, 3 million people are depending on the service right now.
The MTA has threatened that without additional federal funding, drastic cuts to service would likely be inevitable.
New York State's coronavirus numbers continue to show improvement. The number of COVID patients in the hospital dropped below 5,000 for the first time since December 8th. Meanwhile, the number of positive cases is down 2.8%, which is the lowest level since mid-November. The numbers are not as good in New York City. 233 more people have been admitted to the hospital, and there are more than 2,300 new cases. The 7-day positivity rate is about 6.3%. Nassau Coliseum will become a vaccination site later this month. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran made that announcement. She says the Coliseum site will help speed the vaccination process once more doses become available. It'll be the county's third major vaccination site.
In New Jersey, Governor Murphy visiting a mega vaccine site at Rowan College. Earlier in the week, the workers administered the 100,000th vaccine at that location, one of 6 mega sites across the state. It first opened up in January, initially administering only the Pfizer vaccine, but now staffers use whatever vaccine is available. 2 retired school teachers from Newark celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary by getting their COVID-19 vaccinations. 88-year-old Alan Green and his 78-year-old wife, Judy, visited the Meadowlands Vaccination Center for their second dose. Not quite the cruise Judy always thought they'd celebrate their golden wedding anniversary with, but she says they can look forward to more simple pleasures, meaningful pleasures like hugging their grandchildren again and meeting with friends.
Happy couple. Still to come on Eyewitness News this Sunday morning, a massive rave party got busted in Queens. We'll tell you what police discovered inside a warehouse. Plus, tragically, in Harlem, a 10-year-old boy was found dead inside a NYCHA building. The investigation is now underway, and a rally is in the works for today. And former President Trump is planning his return to New York City for the first time since he left office. There are safety changes in place ahead of his arrival.
We've got cold conditions this morning, but big improvements in the temperature department in the AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Planning for today, yes, getting outdoors. You need to bundle up early on, but the sun is big and bright. We get near 40 this afternoon. Tomorrow, 44. That takes us near the normal for this time of March. And then we break into the 60s on Tuesday, and that spring fever lasts through much of the week. I'll show you the numbers coming up next in the AccuWeather 7-day forecast.